Welcome back, folks. It is 6:11 on this wonderful Monday evening. I'm Josephine Sage. Let's jump right into the forecast right now as we take a look outside at America's Mattress Live Tower Cam. We've got these beautiful blue, clear skies right now, and that's going to continue with us throughout our evening hours and essentially for the rest of the work week. But as we take a look at our weather headlines, even though those temperatures are expected to be right around those seasonal averages, even a few degrees above those seasonal averages during the afternoon hours, we do have an upper level low moving on in from the Pacific Northwest. And as that moves on in, that does mean a little bit of a drop in temperatures, and that does mean a chance for some unsettled weather. And when I say unsettled weather, I don't necessarily mean rain. I just mean some increased wind speeds throughout the week, up to 20, maybe even 25 miles an hour through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And with those increased wind speeds comes increased critical fire danger. So with that in mind, just a couple tips. Don't leave those campfires unattended. Adhere to those burn bans and those warnings. Properly discard of those cigarettes. Keep vehicles and power tools off that dry vegetation. And of course, obey orders from local law officials. More nationally, this is that low that we're going to be focusing on. So that strong system is impacting a majority of the west coast today. Tomorrow, moving a little bit further inland as this high pressure ridge amplifies over Colorado, but it's very quickly going to get pushed on out by a little bit of a cold front that's actually going to be associated with that low as well. But right now, those temperatures are feeling 81 in Grand Junction, 83 in Moab, 76 in Montrose, 83 in Delta, and cool 60s and 70s in those higher elevation regions. Now, our almanac will show us we're right around those seasonal averages on that low end of things, at least at 48 instead of that typical 49, but that high end of things pushing to be 5 degrees above what we're typically used to at 83 instead of that typical 78. And I did mention there's a cold front associated with that, so those temperatures are going to take a little bit of a decrease essentially this weekend. So we've got 5 days of warm temperatures before that happens, but it's going to push on in, and followed that by that is actually going to be a stationary front that's soon going to center over Colorado to give us still those warm temperatures, still that dry air, and still that sunshine, but those wind speeds are going to elevate due to that unsettling in the middle of the atmosphere. Now, those wind speeds right now are feeling 6 miles an hour in Grand Junction, 5 miles an hour in Montrose, 8 miles an hour in Delta, but from the last 12 hours, we were at 13 miles an hour in Grand Junction, 19 miles an hour in Delta, and 17 miles an hour in Montrose. Now, this is going to vary in the next 48 to 72 hours to, again, like I said, be up to 20 to maybe even 25 miles an hour. Tonight, those temperatures are going to get down to 50 in Grand Junction, 46 in Montrose, a cool, crispy 29 in Gunnison, so definitely below that sub-freezing range as we get into that 800 and that 10,000 foot elevation and above. And I've got Harold hanging out with me this week for the dog walking forecast. We're going to notice that peak temperature tomorrow with all that sunshine is happening just around that 2 to 3 p.m. hour. And please feel free to send me a photo of your pup at jsage@carryxtv.com for next week. That pollen forecast hasn't really shifted. We're looking at an excessive amount of weeds, but low mold pollen and not really any trees or grass irritations hanging on out. Now, that extended forecast will show us hanging out in those mid to upper 80s through the beginning of the work week. And as soon as the weekend, we're going to start to have that slow decrease in temperatures as that cold front moves on through. Montrose, a few degrees cooler, of course, hanging out in those low 80s and even popping down into those mid to low 70s for the weekend and the early work week next week.